back to the MWOD. Special treat tonight. We are on the South Fork of the American. It's the my capacity to blow a world-class snot rocket. That makes me special. We're going boating tomorrow. I have a special time to talk about kind of integrating the ideas of how can you mobilize a position. You know, if you see a sport, you don't know anything about the sport, but you can figure out a way. Watch your finger. You can figure out a way to get an athlete and kind of into a better position. So we talk a lot about kind of the upstream, downstream. But what position happens upstream affects downstream. And I've made everyone sit in a long sit with your legs are straight out in front of you, and you can imagine in a kayak, it really makes a difference that if I don't have enough function or capacity or length in my hamstrings or my posterior chain, then it's going to bias me into a flexion position. We see these all the time. And then what happens in my shoulders? It exposes my shoulders to a lot of dysfunction. This is a 203 centimeter AT carbon Uber technology paddle, and man, I can get into a bad position quickly with my shoulders and generate a lot of torque, especially as I start rotating around. So it's really incumbent that I have enough room. In fact, all of the rowing that we do, where we constantly talk about getting up and over the hip and having enough space, allows me to actually have my shoulders in a good position to be able to take a good stroke. So, oh God, what is that? Hang on a second. Oh, hang on one second. Thirsty, it's the river. So, into kayak, come on over here and take a look. In the kayak here, if you're making that leap between understanding what it is, you don't need to know anything about kayaking, but look, I have to sit in this externally rotated position, which we know is a low torque position, potentially leaves me in a terrible butt tucked under position. In order for me to try to get into a good position, I'm working hard on being able to internally rotate my legs, generate a lot of force, and you can see how that psoas piece really ends up being the dominant piece. And you'll see that I have one super ab that's developed, and that's because I'm always overextended guy in the kayak, trying to get up and over my hips. So if you didn't know anything about kayaking, but you knew that I had to be able to have good shoulder position and kind of in this external rotated position, this is what we'd look at. So come on up here to the grass real quick. So we're up here on Angel's birthday. One of the things you got to be able to do is sit in a squat. So, Newt, you guys need to spend a couple minutes today just opening up the hips. Part of the warm-up for me is that I get really tight in the hip here. My calves and ankles get tight. So, I just want you to think about spending a couple minutes here. And then we're going to do a 2-minute drill where we're going to put the leg out, we're going to bring the leg back, and we're going to grind across the limits of your hips and back down. So shin comes to vertical, whoop, come across, grind the limits of your hips, back down. What I don't leave is my knee forward. It's never okay to squat. Oh, that's a meniscus destroyer. So even in this position, I'm going to shove my knee to vertical, grind across my hip capsule, settle back down, shin to vertical, I can back down. 2 minutes of that business. And that's a real capsular grind, should feel like capsule. We've got to get into this position, away from the goose poo, come on up. Back into this position, and you see this is just an exaggerated single leg position, of the position I'm going to have to sit tomorrow through the whitewater. So I'm going to push my leg back, belly tight, but I'm really going to not exaggerate this piece, I'm going to exaggerate the leg extension. So once the hip is straight, back, I'm just going to keep backing up and really catch this lateral part of the hamstring. Let's hit that a couple times. I know we hit hamstrings yesterday, but I want to hit this lateral business really tight. Big time here. Both sides, let's contract, relax. Okay, and then gotta get something for the front of the hip here. This is the brutal part. I'm looking around, I'm camping. What am I gonna do? I'm just gonna take myself as far as I can, belly tight. I'm gonna try to press down. If you've read the original journal articles, I can spend some quality time in this position, really exaggerating the back of the hip. And I can just put my foot down or hand down, and I can squeeze my butt and really press into that corner and trying to keep the chest up, leverage, and try to open up the front of the hip. And at the same time, I can go ahead and just let this leg fall out and hit this corner. So I'm just kind of hitting this front anterior part of the hip, hit the outside of the leg here, and that's really going to set up my lower torso for being in this good position where I can sit up and get into a good position. it works always to be thinking, how can you mobilize your thoracic spine? Literally it's as simple as this. God, I'm so stiff. So I want you to grab, not your balls, but I want you to grab a bar or Sakara of the hood, and I want you just to extend for a few minutes over something and see what it's like to even slide down and open that up. Can you bias one corner? Can you hit the ribs? But thinking about, gosh, how can I improve Kelly's kayaking tomorrow? That's the magic right there. That's how you're going to improve the kayaking. It's not paleo, but it's Starrett paleo. We'll see you guys tomorrow.